Right. So, hi everyone. Thanks for joining GSE's virtual event, and this is obviously the 101 stream. We have the Mantony with the Plantony. It's Anthony Anter today, and Anthony is or Tony, as he likes to be called. I always get that wrong because I'm very formal. But
No
Tony's
problem.
a BMC kind of evangelist, guru, demigod, all manner of things. I think he did say earlier he likes praise, so I'm going all out here.
I'll
Um,
take it. I'll take it,
yeah,
man.
but yeah, Tony's going to be doing a session today on basically building your kind of personal brand, which is obviously really valuable because we all want to stand out for the right reasons at work, and we want to kind of have that image, that status, obviously like I say, for good reasons. So without further ado, yeah, Tony, please take it away. Go ahead.
Thank you very much, Niall. So just to clear up the first controversy of the discussion today, my given name is Anthony. My friends call me Tony, and since I feel like everyone on this call, even if I don't know you or don't even know who you are, I feel like we're all friends. So everyone, just please refer to me as Tony. Um, so real quick, let me take care of some housekeeping here. So first things first. The title of this session is Crafting Your Narrative, the art and science of building a powerful personal brand. So I've done a lot of talks at GSE. I've done a lot of talks at Share and other places. And a lot of my talks are technical. A whole lot of my talks are technical or about technical topics or technical capabilities or technical projects that I've worked on or whatever. I'm going to get a little bit into projects today, but I want to be clear about what we're going to talk about. This is about building your personal brand. This is about Tony and Niall and Robert. And I'm just looking through the list of names here. Atul. This is about people building their personal brand. So this isn't a technical talk. This isn't about DevOps. This isn't about any of that stuff. All those things are great, but this isn't about any of that. This is about how do you go to work and how do you build the brand that is Tony Anter, that is Niall Ashley, right? How do you effectively move yourself forward? So first things first, let's get this part out of the way as well. So a little bit about me. So from 2014 to 2021, roughly, I was a director of engineering for CI/CD at American Express, one of the biggest companies in the world. I had responsibility for all of the DevOps platform and all of the automation capabilities, both on the distributed side and the mainframe side at Amex. I was given a project to move DevOps onto the mainframe, and traditionally I am not a mainframe guy. I had never really worked on a mainframe, didn't understand the mainframe platform, had all of the typical prejudices that anyone from the distributed world coming onto a mainframe for the first time had. And I let's just say my eyes were opened when I took this project on. It was an amazing project, and I really got to learn and understand and appreciate the awesomeness that is the mainframe platform. But the reason I bring this up and the reason I give you a little bit of my backstory was it was through the completion of this project, as well as several other very large, very transformative projects at American Express, that I built my personal brand. Okay. And I'm going to go into what is a personal brand and what is all that. So anyone who's wondering right now, don't jump the gun quite yet. I'm going to get to all that, right? But at American Express, I came to be known as the guy that you gave the large, hairy project that most people didn't think could be done to, and I got it done, right? And that was a part of my personal brand, and that's what I became known as. I ran this project, I ran a test data project, I ran the transformation of Bitbucket into GitHub and moving everybody over, multiple projects. And that became part of what defined my personal brand at American Express. So as we're sitting here talking about this, So what is a personal brand, right? What is a brand? What is a personal brand? So I'm going to put some stuff up here on the screen. Now, don't everybody yell out. I don't think Niall will allow you to yell out because you're all on mute, but yell it out at home, like scare your wife or your kids or your dogs or cats or whatever. Just scream them out as you see these. Who knows what this is? McDonald's. That's exactly right. There's probably not a person in the world that doesn't. I mean, you could go to any country, any place, like go to some remote village in the middle of a desert somewhere and go into a mud hut and show them the Golden Arches, and they probably know what it is. That's how prolific this brand is. Let me give you another one. Who is this? Nike, right? That just do it. Nike has become synonymous with athletics, with sports, with with whatever, right? Everybody knows the swoosh. Everybody. Now, here's one for the kids. So I came up with this one because of my kids, but who knows what this is? Snapchat. That's exactly right. I can't go to a dinner without Snapchat being intimately involved. Well, at least I can't go to a dinner with my children without Snapchat being intimately involved with every aspect of this dinner and what's going on, right? Here's another one. This one's sort of easy. I mean, all of these have been somewhat easy, but what is this one? Netflix, right? Everybody knows Netflix. Even if you don't stream Netflix is the one who a destroyed Blockbuster and B started the whole idea of streaming and a streaming service, right? So what are all of these? These are brands, okay? And these are brands that have become synonymous with something, right? McDonald's, the Golden Arches, they maybe weren't the first fast food chain, but they certainly took fast food to another level. Nike, synonymous with sports, advertising, slogans, just do it, right? Snapchat. I guarantee you, if you have a child, your child is on Snapchat and is doing something with Snapchat. It's how a lot of people do their communication. Netflix, like I said, they invented the whole idea of streaming and the streaming service. Each one of these has defined a brand, right? Each one of these is a company and they're known synonymously for something. But what's a personal brand, right? So what do I mean by, so these are brands, but what is a personal brand? A personal brand is what defines you as a person. I really like this quote. Jeff Bezos says, your personal brand is what people say about you when you are not in the room. So when Niall is not in the room, and me and Atul spend a lot of time talking about Niall when he's not around. No, I'm just kidding. We love Niall. But your personal brand is what people say when you're not there, when you're not around, right? Your personal brand is what you're known for. And I'm talking specifically at work, but this can lead to other aspects of your life. So this isn't just about your work life per se, but for the purposes of today's topic, we're talking primarily about work, right? So every day as you interact with people, you're defining your personal brand. Even if you don't know it, even if you don't mean to be defining your personal brand, every interaction you have with people is defining your personal brand, right? If you come in and you're mean and surly and angry and unhappy and, portraying that to everybody, then that's going to become part of your personal brand, even if that's not your intention. If you come in and you're positive and you're happy and you're funny and you're the first guy to crack a joke, right? That's going to define your personal brand. Every interaction you have is defining your personal brand. So the purposes of this is to define what is a personal brand and be intentional about it, right? Because your personal brand, how you're known, what you're known for, will define your career, will define many, 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 many aspects of your career. and how you and how you do things, right? The reason I was given the project that I was given was because my personal brand was I'm a guy who accomplishes projects. The reality of it is I had no experience on the mainframe platform. I had no experience on handling major projects on a mainframe, but I had experience handling major projects. And my personal brand was a guy who sits down and figures things out. And that's why they gave that to me. So you have to be known for something. Well, let me say that a different way. You're going to be known for something. Do you want to define what that something is, or do you want everyone else to define what that something is? So, like I said, you're going to be defining a personal brand whether you want to or not. So how do I invest in it? Right? How do I make sure that I am creating the kind of personal brand that I want? So just like in any project, you have to create a plan, create a vision for yourself. You need to sit down and you need to take stock of what it is you want to be known for, what it is you want to do. And then you need to create a vision, right? Now, a vision, I know that seems like a nebulous term, but you need to boil that all down. That's simply, what do I want to be known for? What do I want to be? Do I want to be the technical guru that everybody wants me, that everybody comes to when they have questions? Do I want to be the solid guy? Do I want to be the solid guy or girl, maybe inclusive? Do I want to be do I want to be known for major projects? Do I want to be known for my, my agility? Do I want to be known for my personality? Or all of the above? Do you want to be all of the above? Create a vision for yourself, create an idea of what you want your brand to be, and make it. In the previous examples, just use McDonald's. Ray Kroc knew what he wanted McDonald's to be. Ray Kroc knew, and Ray Kroc is the founder of McDonald's for anybody who doesn't know that. Ray Kroc knew what he wanted McDonald's to be, and he was militant about making sure that that brand stayed on target. It was known to be the clean, consistent way for everybody to get their food. It was a clean, consistent way. If I go to a McDonald's in California or I go to a McDonald's in New York or anywhere in between, it was the same thing. It was the same service. It was the same process. It was the same taste. It was the same everything. And that became their brand. You are the same thing. If I want Anthony Anter or Tony Anter to be X, then I need to be X. And I need to create that vision of what I want to be. Audit your equity, right? You need to take stock of what you are and what you are not. Okay. I would love to be a professional American football player, since I know my audience is most likely British. But unfortunately, life didn't give me those talents. I would love to be playing in the NBA or, hitting home runs in a baseball stadium somewhere. But I don't have those talents. And those are things a lot of people are born with versus trained, quote unquote. But that said, you need to audit what you're good at and what you're not. Figure out what you are good at and audit what you bring to the table, right? Assessing yourself and being realistic with that assessment and understanding where you want to go and what you want to do, then that is essential to creating that personal brand. Like, I can try to create the personal brand of being like a professional MMA fighter, but I'm not a professional MMA fighter, nor do I have the skills, right? But what I can be is the best version of Tony that I can possibly be. You need to audit your equity, figure out what you can do, and then how does that relate to your vision? Write your story, right? You need to come up with that story and how you portray that. and push that forward as part of your personal brand. Now, when I say write, I don't mean you have to sit down with a pen and paper and write out like a book. Tony was born in Radford, Virginia in 1970, blah, blah, blah. That's not what I'm talking about. You can do that, and that's perfectly fine. But what I mean by writing your story is you need to start putting together, now that you've got a vision and you understand who you are and what you can do, you now need to start writing that story. You now need to start moving towards creating that vision. Having a vision is great, and you need to have that vision. But if you do nothing to move towards that vision, then you're not really creating your brand. You're just wishing. And wishing is great, but there are no wishing wells, there are no magic genies, there are no lamps you can rub and get 3 wishes. You have to put the work forward in order to do that. I heard a quote one time, and I don't know who this is attributed to, and this is just one of those things I ran across. So I'm saying this without any but I didn't come up with it. The glory you want is in the work you're avoiding. Meaning that you have a vision for yourself and you have this wish for yourself, but you're trying to figure out how to get there. And the reality of it is there is no easy way. You have to put in the work to get where you want to go in order to do it. And the glory of that is in the work you're not doing. So write your story. Start putting pen to paper, figuratively or literally, and start moving forward. The last piece to invest in your personal brand is be your brand. Live it. Okay. If you're going to be known as the big project guy, then be the big project guy. Be it when you wake up, be it when you're at work, be it when you have lunch, be it when you come back from lunch, be it when you go home, be it when you go to sleep, and be it the next day. Okay. Live your brand. Be your brand. Now, I know that sounds exhausting, like you're putting on some facade, but I'm gonna get to that in a minute. But this isn't a facade. This is, if I want to be X, then I need to start living my life like I am X. You need to be your brand. If you walk into a McDonald's, again, to use them as an example, if you walk into a McDonald's, then every McDonald's has an operational standard that they have, and that's what it is, or they're not a McDonald's. They are their brand. It's the same process with yourself. You need to be your brand, and you need to live that brand that you've created in your vision. You've audited your equity. You started writing your story. Now you need to be that brand. And starting out, I know this is a one-on-one track, so I'm hoping that there's a lot of people very early in their careers that are on this call. Okay, being your brand doesn't mean if my vision is to become the CEO of Microsoft in the next few years, that doesn't mean you're going to get there tomorrow. Okay, being your brand, there's iterative steps to this. And again, I'll get to that. Right? Now, here is probably one of the most important ones you're going to get to. Reevaluate your brand. Rinse and repeat. Okay? Like anything in life, like any project, like anything you take on, there's going to be fits and starts. You're going to make moves, and then some of those moves are going to work out. Some of those moves aren't going to work out. Some things are going to be great. Some things are not going to be great. You need to reevaluate your brand. Okay. Now, that doesn't mean McDonald's tomorrow is all of a sudden going to become a ice cream shop. Well, they serve ice cream. Let me give a better example. That doesn't mean your brand, you need to completely change everything about you. But you need to go through an assessment and reevaluate. Am I living up to my vision? Have I audited my equity correctly? Am I writing my story? Am I being my brand? You need to reevaluate that, and you need to reevaluate the brand that you're trying to set for yourself. I've rewritten myself a couple of times in my life, and before you're done, you're going to do the same thing, right? Maybe not at the core, but at least at the level, right? So reevaluate your brand. And really like this, I really like this graphic. I very, very much like this graphic where it shows the upward trend. If you start investing in your personal brand, then you're going to see improvement, right? It might not be today, it might not be tomorrow, it might not be next week, next month, next year, but you will see improvement, right? It's not going to be an easy road. But then again, in nothing in life that's worth it is ever easy. I know that sounds like a greeting card or a bumper sticker on someone's car, but that's the truth. Nothing in life that's worth it comes easy. Everything requires work, and everything requires work, and everything requires toil. And I don't mean that in the SRE point of view for toil. So you need to invest in your personal brand. And these are some steps that you can take. A little bit later, I'm going to talk about some things and organizations and whatever you can do. But if you do searches on Google and you go on the internet, there's a lot of books and methodologies and things that you can use to invest in your personal brand and to build your personal brand. And I don't think any of them are worse or better than the others. Find the one that fits for you. What I did here is sort of my take on it, as well as a summation of a lot of different sources. So I want you to think about the soft skills. And this is something that I had a lot of discussions with my engineers and my resources. I spent time with them, not just talking about how to improve their technical prowess, but how to improve their soft skills, right? In this industry, it is very easy to focus on your technical skills. And especially starting out, this is what you're going to be known for. People are hiring you for your technical prowess, your technical chops, your technical skills. And that is important. I'm not trying to say they are not. You absolutely need to sharpen the sword constantly, constantly, constantly learning, right? And this is part of your personal brand. This is part of your brand. Nobody wants to be the guy that they only give the bad stories to because they know you can't code very well. You absolutely need to work on your technical skills. But what I found in the engineering world is that a lot of people exclusively focus on this. They exclusively focus on enhancing their technical skills and enhancing their technical capabilities. Sometimes, and a lot of times, to the detriment of what I like to call soft skills. Now, the difference between the guy who eventually becomes vice president of, XYZ PDQ, and the guy who is sitting in the basement coding for the rest of his life or her life is the soft skills. Now, if sitting in a cube and coding is your game, and I know a lot of people who do that and they're happy as a clam, and I think that's great. And I'm not here to knock on that, nor am I here to say you have to be X or Y or Z in order to do that. But if you want to grow, if you want to grow your career, if you want to take a different path, then you need to focus on the soft skills. Don't just focus on building up your technical prowess, which again, I'm not saying that's important, right? But focus on things like public speaking, the ability to get on a call like this or get up in front of a crowd and speak publicly. You cannot understand the benefit of being able to do that. Writing. If you don't like getting up in front of crowds and doing that, write. The amount of people that can put together blogs and be able to write technical articles and capabilities, it's an art, and it's something that you have to practice. And writing is not just that, it's also being able to clearly express yourself. If I have to send an email, how many of you guys have gotten that email from somebody and you have to read it like 4 or 5 times to understand exactly what they're saying? How many of you guys have written that email? I know I have, right? If you can clearly and concisely express your ideas via writing, then that will pay gigantic benefits in your career, right? Organizational skills. understanding how to organize your time, understanding how to organize your work, how to organize your life, right? Organizational skills, executive presence, which I'm going to focus more on. That's a topic in and of itself, right? Leadership. Do you eventually want to become a leader, a people leader, have a team, manage a team? Even if you don't want to, sometimes you end up there. Leaders are not born, they are created. I know everybody probably has this vision of King Leonidas standing in the hot gates, holding the Persians at bay. And if anybody's Persian, no offense, but, keeping the Persians out of Greece and, like screaming, tonight we dine, that kind of thing. That's great, but that's not being a leader. Leadership is a skill you have to hone, something you have to learn how to do. And there's a lot of different books and techniques about that. An extremely good one is one called Extreme Ownership, written by a guy by the name of Jocko Willink, which I could spend a whole session just talking about extreme ownership. And I taught a class on that at Amex. I love that book. But you find the thing that you like in your style and work on it. Teamwork, being able to actually sit down with a group of people and work together is a skill that you need to develop. Everybody needs to develop. Time management. And that's just a few of the soft skills that you need to work on. Soft skills are the difference between getting that job and promotion and not getting it. And I said getting the job because sometimes those soft skills will be conveyed as a part of your interview. If you're just starting out, coming out of college and going to your first job, the difference between you and the guy in the chair next to you in the waiting room, who probably has all the same technical skills as you, could be these soft skills. Your ability to convey this, your ability to speak eloquently to the person hiring you. And the same thing with being a promotion, right? If you haven't developed any leadership skills, do you think anybody's going to trust you to lead? Or if you do get that position, are you going to be ready? These are all things that you have to develop and build. And they are just as important as how good your code is, how deep your technical knowledge goes. These soft skills are also very, very important. Being credible, right? So I want to go back to something here. When I talked about, right, write your story and audit your equity, okay? You need to be credible as you're going through and you're talking about this personal brand. Everybody can smell a rat. No matter how good an actor you are, no matter how good you are at faking it till you make it, everybody can smell a rat, and you will eventually be called out. It's just a matter of time. So you need to be 100% authentic. You need to be credible, right? How do you do that? So the first thing, say what you mean and mean what you say. And I know that, again, that sounds like a greeting card or a bumper sticker. But the reality of it is, don't talk. My grandmother used to call it talking out the side of your neck, right? Don't talk out the side of your neck. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Now, that doesn't mean be impolite. That doesn't mean be mean. That doesn't mean say bad things. That doesn't mean that. What that means is if I say yes, that means yes. And if I say no, that means no. Right? Say what you mean and mean what you say. When I was a kid, I used to love the cartoon Popeye the Sailor Man. I don't know how many of you guys remember Popeye. You get in the spinach, right? And he used to have us sing, I am's what I am's, and that's all that I am's, right? Meaning he is what he is, that's all that he is. And that's what this means. Say what you mean and mean what you say. Be authentic. Be upfront. Okay? Doesn't mean you can't be politically correct. It doesn't mean you can't be sensitive or empathetic or any of that other stuff. It just means that when you say yes, you mean yes. And when you say no, you mean no. You mean no. And be authentic about that. Be upfront. Integrity. Lean into your strengths, right? I've always been a very good public speaker. I don't know what it is about me. It's probably something I inherited from my dad, because my dad was an incredible public speaker, could get up in front of people and just captivate them in a way I wish I don't ever think I could do. Lean into your strengths. Figure out what you're good at. And everybody's good at something. Don't give me, oh, I'm not very good at it. Lean into your strengths. Figure out what you're good at and make that part of your brand, right? Maybe you are that technical guru who can answer any question and can do anything, and lean into it, man. Lean into it. Don't try to fight the headwinds. Go. Figure out what you are when it comes back to, assessing your equity, right? Audit your equity. When you figure out what that equity is, lean into it. Make it a part of who you are. I made being a really good public speaker a part of who I am, and I leaned into it. I'm a guy, I like to tell jokes. Lean into that, right? I'm sort of a funny guy, and I make it work for me. Now, my wife doesn't think I'm near as funny as I think I am, but that's a session for another day. So lean into your strengths. Face your fears, okay? And this is another way of saying, while you're leaning into your strengths, don't run from your weaknesses. Don't run from the things that you don't like. If you don't like getting up in front of people, I'm not suggesting that you do a TED Talk in Madison Square Garden in front of 50,000 people. But work on being more comfortable talking to people. Work on making your weaknesses your advantages. Face your fears. If your fear is, like I said, talking in front, I'm picking on that one because that's a common fear a lot of people have. A lot of people don't like getting up in front of people and talking. But if that's your fear, then work on it. Work on doing those things. And if you do, then you'll be authentic. And look, some of the things you're not good at, you won't be incredible at. But being authentic, that will come out. And if you're authentic about it and you're 100% credible, then people will see that. And it's okay to not be the most eloquent public speaker or the most, verbose writer, right? But you still need to work on those things because they're important. And building your personal brand means you have to face your fears and go lean into the things that also you're not good at and use them to complement what you are good at. You can't be all things to all people, meaning Jeff Bezos' definition of a personal brand is it's what people say about you when you're not in the room. Now, I would love to pretend that I am universally loved and people just think I'm the bee's knees everywhere I go. But the reality of it is there's probably somebody out there going, that Anthony Anter, I really don't like that guy. Sort of a jerk. I think his sessions are crappy. I don't like the way he talks. He texts too many jokes, blah, 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 blah. You can't be all things to everyone. And if you try to be all things to everyone, you will be nothing to anyone, to be blunt. Be your brand, be who you are, and let the chips fall where they may. Now, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't take stock of what you are and what your brand is and what you're known for and make adjustments to sort of an 80-20 rule, right? But just understand you're never going to please everybody. And there are going to be people who don't dig it. There will be promotions you don't get. There will be jobs that they turn you down on. There will be people who don't see it. And that's okay. That's okay. You can't be all things to everybody. But you need to be true to yourself. And being authentic means that you are who you are, going back to say what you mean and mean what you say. That means that you are who you say you are, and you let everything happen. Right? So, excuse me, you can't be all things to everyone, but you can be the best version of yourself and let the people who like you, and let the people who don't. Right? Be mindful and be in the moment. I loved including that Snapchat thing because one of the things I talk to my kids about a lot, anyone who's younger than me, which is you know, well over half the population. Um, my kids will always be on Snapchat or will always be distracted, and they're trying to do 14 things at once. And there's nothing wrong with multitasking. Don't get me wrong. The ability to handle multiple things, multiple tasks, multiple whatever, that is an advantage. And that can be part of your brand. But you also need to be mindful and in the moment. If you're going to build a personal brand, you need to understand your surroundings. You need to understand where you're at, who you're talking to, what they're talking about, why they're bringing it to you. That could be in the form of empathy. That could be in the form of, hey, Tony, I have a problem with this program and I need your help. That could be a, hey, how was your weekend? Be mindful and be in the moment. And it's little things. Look people in the eye. Don't be distracted. Don't be reading emails. How many of you guys have been on a call and you're talking to somebody, even one-on-one, and you can tell that they're reading an email or they're working on something or they're multitasking while they're talking to you? You can hear it in their voice. Even somebody like me who can modulate his voice really well, you can still hear it. You can hear that they're not dedicating 100% of the processor power to that. And I find myself doing it as well. But you need to work on being mindful, be in the moment. If you want to build a powerful personal brand and be credible, then you need to be there. Be in the meeting, be in the call, be with the person, right? Especially when you're talking about leadership, people don't want to think that when they're coming to you as a leader, that you're devoting, 40% of your total capacity to what they're saying, right? Keep working on it. There are going to be times you're a hypocrite. There are times I'm a hypocrite. There are times Niall's a hypocrite. There's a times Atul is a hypocrite. There's a times everybody's a hypocrite, right? You need to keep working on being as authentic as you possibly can. But people are failed creatures. You're not going to be 100% all the time. And that's okay. Keep working on it. Keep iterating through what you're seeing here. Keep working on being the best that you can be. All you can try to do, and this is another grandmother thing. My grandmother was a very wise woman. And she used to say, all you can do is do your best. Or another way she used to put it, sometimes you get the bear and sometimes the bear gets you. Meaning you're not going to win them all, but if you keep trying, you'll win more than you lose. Right? Keep working on it. Keep working on it. Keep iterating through it. To quote the great Marshawn Lynch, a running back in American football, I'm going to get got, but I'm going to get them more than I get got. I'll let you unpack that, okay? I'll let you unpack. That's a quote. You can look that up if you want to. I'm going to get got, but I'm going to get them more than I get got. So there you go. Be ruthless about building your brand. If you're going to build a personal brand, and if you are going to do it, then you need to be ruthless about it. Like I said, you need to live it. And this is an extension of that, right? You need to be ruthless. First off, just for personal sakes, I am a huge fan of The Godfather. I've watched The Godfather movies 100 million times. So as soon as I thought of this slide, the first thing I thought about was Michael Corleone and how he navigated that. Now, I'm not advocating a life of crime. Let's be clear. But you need to be ruthless about building your brand, right? Set goals and move towards them. Don't stray from the path. Set your goals and start iterating towards them. Again, this isn't a tomorrow thing. This isn't like, oh, hey, look, it's the new Jan Brady. And, I'm completely different because I changed my hairstyle. That's not what I'm talking about. You need to set goals and move towards them and iterate through what you need to do, just like any development project. If you're going to create a large project, you're not going to finish it tomorrow. You're going to set goals and milestones, and you're going to hit those milestones as you go along. Start small and build. Everything you do should be about enhancing your brand. It goes back to live it. Okay. If I'm going to work and I'm going to facilitate a particular brand, then I need to be, everything I do needs to be towards moving towards those goals and building that brand. And again, this is a time thing. You know, time and pressure make a diamond. Today, you're a lump of coal. Okay. Give it time, apply enough pressure, and you will eventually get there. But you need to be about enhancing your brand. Okay. You can't be known as the serious guy and then every other week you goof off for a week. Invest time and training into building your personal brand. If I want to learn a new technology, I have to take a certain amount of time and a certain amount of training during the week and invest in doing that. If I want to be a better leader, I need to do the same thing. I had to take the time and the impetus to read the book Extreme Ownership. You need to take the time and invest in those soft skills that you're doing. I'll get into how to do that in a minute, but you need to set aside time per week to invest in training and building that personal brand. Now, that doesn't mean you can't be friendly. That doesn't mean you're a machine, every little thing you do. What it means is you have a set goal and a path, and you stay on that and you move towards that. I'm not going to say this more. Be authentic. Don't try to be something you're not. Don't pretend to be something you don't believe. Be authentic. Be 100% credible, right? Be what you want to be, but be authentic about it. So I want to take a minute and I want to talk about executive presence because I brought that out. So executive presence, if you look up the definition, and there's a lot of different definitions of executive presence and what it means and what it doesn't mean, but it's your ability to inspire confidence with your subordinates, your peers, and your leadership. A lot of people only look at leadership, but it really is all three, right? Your executive presence is, how do my employees talk about me if I'm a people leader? How do my peers talk about me? Right? How many of you guys have known that person in the office who spends all their time managing up, managing to leadership, right? But doesn't really spend any time with their subordinates or with their peers. If you're going to think about executive presence, you need to think about all three, because you'll find a lot of times that if I'm going for a promotion, if your leader is very good, one of the first things they'll do is ask your employees and ask your peers, what do you think about Tony? What do you think? Do you think Tony's right for this, right? A lot of times promotions come from interviews with your peers and how you do things. And there's really three keys to executive presence. The first one is gravitas, which is one of my favorite words. It's one of those $10 words you throw out and, sounds super fancy. But it's basically how you act. Gravitas is how you act, right? It's how you convey yourself, right? You want to highlight your talents. You want to be assertive, but not domineering, right? This is one of the things I talked about my father. This is one of the things my father did probably better than anybody. My father could walk into a room and just command presence. It didn't matter who was in there. The Prime Minister of England, the President of the United States, the guy who's cleaning the hall, he commanded presence. That's what he was, but without being domineering, right? This isn't come in and be a big jerk. This is just have a certain air about you. And a lot of this comes to body language. A lot of this comes to body language, looking people in the eye, being there, shaking their hands firmly. Body language and how you are in the moment affects your gravitas. Communication. Concentrate on how you sound, right? I know this is going to sound weird, but certain people have a certain voice And if your voice is low, if you're super quiet, then you need to concentrate on raising that. Now, again, this is about being authentic, but at the same time, you can spend some time modulating your voice. There's a big difference between how I'm talking right now and if I decide to go very monotone and talk about gravitas, communication, and how you look, and you know you have to have executive presence, and you see what I'm saying. Being able to modulate your voice and concentrate on that is good. Excuse me, is a key, and these are things you can work on too. You can get there's some voice coaching that you can do to make your voice more, especially if you're going to get up and talk to people and have to communicate and all that. Storytelling. Be a good storyteller. Be someone who's got some stories in their back pocket, right? And can relate things through the use of a story. Speak assertively. If you're going to say something, say it. If you're going to say something, say it. Now, again, it's not about being domineering, but it's about asserting your opinion and being okay with that. And the biggest thing I found with communication as far as executive presence is know when to speak. Sometimes it's okay to be quiet. You don't have to insert words into a conversation just to insert them. Listen, wait for your moment, and know when it's time to speak and speak up. Especially in things like meetings and when you're dealing with your peers or executives or whoever. How you look. Now, I'm not trying to make this shallow, but a big portion of executive presence is how you look. Dress for the occasion, right? And that doesn't necessarily mean you got to wear a 3-piece suit and, a pocket watch every time you go somewhere. What that means is you want to dress for the occasion and the place that you're at. If you have a casual work environment, then be casual, but be put together casual. Don't look like you just rolled out of bed or like a homeless. They left the door open and a homeless guy stumbled in. Homeless guy or girl. Let me be inclusive in my homelessness too. Again, this goes back to the body language, but stand tall. Look people in the eye, right? If you're going to be there, then the presence you give off speaks as much to your executive presence and your personal brand as anything. Composure. Don't be the guy who spazzes out. Don't be the guy or girl. Don't be the person who gets super angry or super mad or super bad or super this or super that, right? Be the person who, how do I want to put this? Be the person who handles things. When problems come up, you want to be the guy with ice water in their veins. Composure. If you look confident, you are, right? The act of looking confident will give you a certain confidence. Now, again, this is about being authentic. So this isn't like, puffing your chest out like one of those animals that, pretends to be bigger than they are to ward off predators. But if you look confident, then you will breed a certain confidence into yourself, right? Executive presence, again, can be one of those things that is the difference between getting promoted and not getting promoted, getting the job and not getting the job. And understanding these things and how they work is key to a successful career. Now, I've had fits and starts in my career. I think I've gotten to a pretty good place and I feel pretty good about where I'm at. And it's through concentrating on these things. And trust me, if you would have known me 20 years back, the guy you see before you is not the guy that I was then. Okay, I made a lot of mistakes in these areas. And so hopefully as we talk about this, I'm giving you some very hard-won lessons. So you're asking yourself right now, Tony, how exactly can I build this, right? I'm not a great public speaker. I don't really practice executive presence. I don't really do this or that or the other. What are some things that I can do to build these muscles, right? You're not going to get in shape tomorrow unless you start lifting weights. So how do I go about this? So first things first is look for training classes at your companies. Most companies that I've been at, in fact, every company I've been at, and I'm going to argue probably the companies that you're working for today have training classes, capabilities, things that you can do, right? Things to enhance your leadership, your communications, your executive presence. Practice these things, the ability to go in and practice them, right? Books. I already mentioned Extreme Ownership by Jocko Willink. There's a lot of different books about how to handle just about everything. Look for those things and look for those training classes, those free capabilities, or those free services that your company offers through their HR department, and see what's out there. They're a great resource that you can very easily do. And a lot of times they get you credit at your company. People will look and say, hey, look, Tony's taken the leadership courses. Tony's done this, Tony does that. That means you've taken ownership of your personal brand and trying to grow yourself. And that actually will enhance what people think about you. Right? I can't speak highly enough of Toastmasters. So I got into Toastmasters when I was younger, when I was actually in high school. And it's a great organization. There's 26 million chapters of Toastmasters everywhere under the sun. Probably, if you're in a big enough company, there's probably 1 or 2 Toastmasters groups that are doing things now. If you're not, then go to toastmasters.org and look up, they'll put in your locale and they will give you like 100 groups that are meeting everywhere from your local church to your local gymnasium to your local high school to your local Starbucks to your local whatever. It is a great group, not just to learn how to publicly speak, but learn other skills in general. But as far as learning how to get up in front of people and talk, and learning those kind of even interpersonal communication skills, to me, Toastmasters is second to none. Now, some people might not think that Toastmasters is as great as I do. It's my personal favorite. If you don't like Toastmasters, find something else, right? Maybe there's training classes at your company that you can do, and all of these things are great. But you want to know what the last thing is? You want to know the last way, the last resources you can do? Practice. You're not going to get better at this stuff unless you do it. Practice. Talking about practice, not a game, practice. In case anybody understands that reference, it's an NBA thing. You need to work on this stuff, right? Just listening to me isn't going to get you there. Just going to Toastmasters isn't going to get you there. Taking some online training at your job isn't going to get you there. You have to work on these things. That's pretty much it for my presentation. I don't know. I see there's a few things in the chat. Either that's people going, why am I attending this lame session? Or it's some questions. So I'm not sure which is which. Now, I know, Niall, did you want to read the questions off, or did you want me to take the questions out of the chat, or how do you want to do that?
So far, there's not actually been a question as such, but a lot of people responding to things you'd said along the way. So, for example, Robert Patterson had said, it's not just you can't be all things. That extends to saying no, and saying no to things that don't fit your brand. And I think that's a really valuable point, in that I know Atul's probably heard me say this about half an hour ago, but you can't be expected to be good at everything. You can't be good at juggling and woodwork and doing a barbecue and software, and you pick your niche and you just find comfort in the fact that that's something you're good at, and someone else can be good at something else, and that's for them. But if it doesn't have to be part of your brand, you don't have to be the brand for every company. McDonald's brand isn't going to work for Snapchat.
That's right. That's a great way to put it. Now that's actually that's very cool, and you're 100% right. And I like what Robert said in there about no is a powerful word. It's okay to say, no, that isn't into my brand. You can't be all things, right? So if it's not fitting into your vision or your goals for what your personal brand is, then it's okay to say no. It's okay to pass up on it. I'll give you an example. I got offered a promotion one time, years and years and years ago. And it was like I had been looking for a promotion. I'd been looking to go into management. I'd been looking to be a lead. And it was cool, but it wasn't what I wanted. It wasn't the direction I wanted to go. And so I turned it down, and it surprised a lot of people because when I set my mind to something, I'm maniacal about it. And it surprised a lot of people that I turned it down. But looking back on it, it was the right thing to do, right? It was the
I know.
right.
So no, I know exactly what you mean. Sometimes I've had positions where when I was before I joined BMC, I didn't want to apply for certain job. Like I applied, but then I didn't want to accept certain job offers because I thought I don't want to sell out a part of who I am. This
Yeah,
this isn't me.
right. And that there's nothing wrong with that at all. So I'm going to go ahead and go to, we've only got a couple minutes left. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the last slide. This is the feedback slide. And this is probably, I'm taking part of Niall's job here, but please, GSE, and especially me, I thrive on feedback. And one of the other things about building your personal brand is being able to accept the good and the bad. So if you didn't like this session, then I'm number one, I'm sorry. Number two, though, I would love to hear about it, right? I would love to hear about it. If you love the session, I would love to hear about it. Tell me what worked and what didn't. Tell me, what you would like to see to improve this. This is a different kind of session than I typically do. And it was something that, number one, I'm passionate about, but number two is I am, uh, uh, it's something I wanted to try. So sometimes building your personal brand means going out on a bit of a limb. So hopefully you got something out of it, but please feel free to make this. And listen, I mean, ask yourself this. Who would you like to win as far as best session at GSE Virtual 2024, right? Do you want a big corporate win, or do you want a plucky young man from America to swoop in and, be the best session this year? So ask yourself that and then make your judgment as it is. So thank you, everybody. Thank you very much for attending, and I really appreciate the audience and the time.
Yeah, thank you for attending, everyone. The link is in the chat, and if you click, it should auto-populate with your delegate number. So then you just fill the rest of the fields in. And just don't forget, with session length, 5 is the sweet spot. It's not too short or not too long. I know a lot of people go 10 because they think 10 out of 10 is the best, but 10 means too long. So yeah, if you can all feed that in for Tony, that would be amazing. We really appreciate it. And yeah, thank you so much again, Tony, for a fantastic session.
Absolutely. Thank you for having me now. Really appreciate it. Thank you,
Always.
guys.
Thank you. Right. Well, if there's nothing else, then I guess we'll wrap the session up there. But yeah, if anyone does have any questions, you can put them in the chat, or I'm sure Tony will accept them via email. I think his email is attached to his GSE profile. So if you click on his session, it should come up with his details there, including his email.
Yeah,
but
absolutely. Feel free to reach out if you have any questions. And I will be uploading this deck to the site. I haven't done that yet, so I will, as soon as I get done here, I will upload that.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Luther King. That's very nice of you. So thank you very much for the session, Tony. And I didn't do anything. I just introduced the man himself. But yeah, thank you very much then, everyone. I'll see you in one of the subsequent sessions.
Bye.